the world had gone silent, except for the haunting groans of the dead. Cities lay in ruins. Roads cracked and overgrown. Once bustling communities were now hollow echoes of humanity. In the center of this wasteland stood what looked like an abandoned tech facility in Oklahoma, gray, lifeless from the outside, but deep inside, something was still functioning. Marcus Hale adjusted his glasses as the solar backup system flickered back to life. A low hum filled the underground lab as the power stabilized. "We're online," he muttered, staring at the monitors. The screens lit up with drone footage, security feeds, and structural schematics. Around him, a small team of engineers worked in tense silence, each one a survivor of the outbreak, each one chosen for a reason. 2 months ago, Marcus had led a team of 12 engineers on a government-funded infrastructure project designed to reinforce critical power grids against extreme climate events. But when the outbreak began, their site had turned into something much more, a fortress, a lab, a last hope. The undead spread faster than anyone expected. Cities like Dallas and Kansas City were lost within days. Communication systems failed. Governments collapsed. But Marcus and his team, buried underground with equipment, solar energy, and 6 months of supplies, survived. Now, only 6 of the 12 remained. Celia Tran, a robotics specialist, leaned over her desk, connecting circuits with precise fingers. "The patrol drones are operational, but if one more motherboard fries, we'll have to start scavenging again." "We can't afford that risk," Marcus said without looking up. The last scouting team barely made it back. As if on cue, the door hissed open, and the faint smell of sweat and dust drifted in. Raj Kapoor, the group's mechanical engineer, entered, dragging a cart loaded with salvaged parts from a nearby wind farm. His face was streaked with grease and dirt, but he managed a grim smile. "Got what we needed, plus a few surprises." Behind him limped Leah Morgan, an energy systems analyst. She'd been bitten in the leg during a supply run a week ago, but not by a zombie, by a feral dog. Still, every injury made hearts pound harder. Leah collapsed onto a bench, wincing as she removed the blood-stained bandage. "We should keep monitoring her vitals," said Sasha Lin, the team's biomedical engineer. "Just in case." "No fever. No change," Marcus reassured. "Let's stay focused. We don't have time for fear." It wasn't just about surviving anymore. Marcus had a bigger plan, a plan to rebuild something. Their fortress, nicknamed the Core, was more than a bunker. It was an idea. An idea that pockets of humanity could fight back. That the chaos could be tamed. That hope could be engineered. That night, the group gathered in the central chamber, where maps of the dead zones glowed under dim light. Marcus pointed to a marked location, a nearby hydroelectric dam, once operated by a small crew, now believed abandoned. "If we can restart the turbines, we get long-term power. We could expand the Core. Offer sanctuary. Maybe even start broadcasting again." Celia frowned. "That's over 15 miles through dead territory. We don't know what's out there." Raj added, "And we're not soldiers." "No," Marcus said. "We're engineers. We solve problems. We build. That's what makes us dangerous to the dead." Silence followed. Heavy, uncertain. Then Leah, pale but defiant, broke it. "Then let's give the dead something to fear." Later, as the others drifted to their sleeping quarters, Marcus stood alone, staring at the only working camera feed showing the entrance tunnel. It was quiet, for now. He knew that wouldn't last. The undead were drawn to sound, to movement, to life. Sasha approached from behind. "You think we can really do this? Rebuild anything in a world this broken?" "I don't know," Marcus admitted. "But if anyone can, it's us." Suddenly, an alarm pulsed, short, sharp, then silent. One of the drones had detected motion. Celia's voice crackled over the comms. "We've got movement." 3, no, for figures approaching the perimeter. Marcus's stomach sank. "Dead?" "No. They're running. Fast." Could be survivors. Or bait, Raj's voice warned from the hall. Everyone was moving now, weapons ready, homemade stun poles, electrified nets, modified nail guns. No one had real firearms anymore. Ammo was long gone. Every defense had to be smart, quiet, and efficient. As the approaching figures stumbled into the open, the cameras zoomed in. Teens. Maybe early 20s. Clothes torn. Faces wild with fear. One of them held a radio, still intact. That detail caught Marcus's attention. "They're signaling," Celia said. "Open the outer gate," Marcus ordered. Raj blinked. "What if they're followed? Then we find out exactly how well we've built this place to survive." As the gate opened with a slow groan, Marcus felt something shift, not in the air, but inside himself. The world outside was lost. But maybe, just maybe, hope had found its way to their doorstep. To be continued in Part 2, The Survivor's Code. Where trust is tested, secrets unfold, and a deadly decision changes everything. The gate clanked shut behind the new arrivals, sealing out the wasteland once more. Marcus stood still, eyes scanning the four figures as they collapsed to their knees in the decontamination chamber. Dirt, sweat, and fear clung to them like an extra layer of skin. Celia monitored the biometric scanner from the control booth, her hand hovering over the alarm trigger. "They're clean," she said after a tense pause. "No signs of infection. Vitals within normal range." Marcus gave a short nod. "Let's bring them in." As the inner door slid open, the survivors staggered into the core's main chamber, blinking against the soft lights. 2 boys, 2 girls, likely no older than 20. Their eyes were wide with exhaustion, but even more with disbelief. A place with power. Lights. Shelter. They hadn't seen anything like it in weeks. "I'm Jace," said the older boy, catching his breath. "These are my friends, Danny, Kyle, and Serena. We were part of a survival group outside Tulsa. Got overrun 3 days ago. Everyone else didn't make it." "How'd you find this place?" Marcus asked calmly, eyes narrowing. Jace reached into his torn jacket and pulled out a wrinkled paper. "A hand-drawn map. We intercepted a shortwave broadcast weeks ago. A signal. Barely audible. Coordinates. We weren't even sure it was real, but..." Marcus exchanged a look with Celia. "They hadn't sent out any signal, at least not yet." "You said it was a survival group," Raj asked. "What kind?" "Engineers. Builders," Jace replied. "Like you. My dad was one of them. Taught me and Kyle everything about systems repair. Radios, solar panels, mechanical fixes. We were trying to set up a safe zone in Tulsa." "And what happened to it?" Celia asked, folding her arms. "Same thing that happens everywhere," Danny whispered. "They came. Fast. Loud. Too many. People panicked. Turned on each other." Marcus's jaw tightened. "We've seen that too." As Sasha treated Serena's bruised arm, the team gathered in the conference area, a repurposed storage room with whiteboards, maps, and a half-working projector. The newcomers sat cautiously, unsure if they were truly safe or simply trapped in another kind of prison. Marcus leaned forward. "This facility is protected, but fragile. Everything runs on limited systems. Power. Water. Food. It works because we follow rules. Routines. We're engineers, not soldiers or babysitters. If you stay, you work. You earn your place." "We will," Jace said quickly. "Anything. Just don't send us back out there." But Marcus didn't look at him, he looked at Kyle, who had been silent the whole time. The younger boy's leg bounced nervously, eyes flicking to every exit. Something about his posture didn't sit right. Leah, watching from the side, finally spoke. "He's hiding something." Kyle stiffened. "No, I'm not." Raj stood up slowly. "We've had liars here before. Didn't end well. I swear, Kyle started. But Serena interrupted, her voice barely a whisper. He didn't mean to. We needed food. We found a storage truck 2 days ago. There were people inside. Turned. He got scratched. Just a little. But he's okay. No fever. The room went still. Marcus walked over, slowly, eyes locked on Kyle. Show me. Reluctantly, Kyle rolled up his sleeve, revealing a faint but unmistakable scratch on his upper arm. Sasha immediately approached with her scanner. It's not a bite, she said, inspecting it. But it's close. And the virus, whatever it is, spreads through open wounds too. We've seen it mutate. We should isolate him, Raj said firmly. Kyle jumped up. I said I'm fine. Isolation isn't punishment, Marcus replied. It's protocol. We don't guess here. We verify. You'll be watched, monitored. If nothing happens in 72 hours, you can join the others. If you turn. He didn't finish the sentence. He didn't need to. The group agreed, and Kyle was moved to an observation room. Serena insisted on staying nearby, and Sasha agreed to monitor his vitals hourly. Later that night, Jace found Marcus in the generator room. Thanks for not kicking us out, he said quietly. You said you heard a broadcast, Marcus replied. We haven't sent any signals. So who did? Jace hesitated. Could have been a loop. Or another group. Before our camp fell, some guys were experimenting with range boosters. Said they were hearing things from the east, voices, automated messages, even strange coordinates being broadcast from places that shouldn't have power. Marcus turned, frowning. If someone's sending out coordinates tied to this place, someone knows we're here. And they want people to come. Or they want to find you themselves. Marcus nodded slowly, a sense of unease creeping into his gut. He thought the core was hidden. Sealed. A ghost on the grid. But if someone else had plans for this place, then surviving the undead might not be their only problem. To be continued in Part 3, the signal and the silence. The silence of the control room was broken by a soft, pulsing beep. Celia leaned over the monitor. Same signal again. Faint but repeating. East of here, somewhere near the old communications relay. Marcus entered, coffee in hand. He squinted at the screen. Time? Every 3 hours. Same message. She played the recording. Static buzzed through the speakers, then a distorted, mechanical voice crackled to life. Station 5 operational, transmitting coordinates, safe zone, repeat, Station 5 operational. That relay's been dead for years, Raj said, stepping in. No way it's still active. Well, someone brought it back online, Celia replied. And they're pointing people to it. Marcus frowned, mind racing. Station 5's close to the floodplain. No good defenses. They'd be sitting ducks. Unless, Leah said slowly, they're baiting people. Setting traps. Sasha entered, glancing between them. Kyle's stable. No fever. Scratch isn't spreading. That buys us time, Marcus said. But if someone knows how to access old government systems like Station 5, they're dangerous. Smart. Maybe even ex-military. Raj crossed his arms. What if it's a group like us? Engineers. Rebuilding. Then we make contact, Marcus said. Carefully. Later that afternoon, the group gathered in the planning chamber. A faded satellite map covered the wall, dotted with pins and markings from old scouting missions. We send a team, Marcus explained. 2 people, max light gear. In and out. Confirm the source, intercept any data, and report back. I'll go, Leah volunteered. Raj raised an eyebrow. You hate the field. I hate mysteries more, she said. If someone's tampering with the network, I want to know how. I used to work on signal encryption for the DoD, remember? Marcus turned to Jace. You said you've been around Tulsa. That includes Station 5 sector? He nodded. We passed it a few weeks ago. From a distance. Looked weird. Like someone was building around it. Pallets, stacked crates, makeshift towers. Marcus exchanged glances with Leah. You're going with her. Jace swallowed, then nodded. Okay. They left before sunset, moving quietly through the broken streets outside the perimeter. Leah's pulse pounded in her ears. Every shadow felt too deep, too still. The world out here didn't forgive mistakes. As they neared the relay station, the sky darkened. Wind pushed dead leaves down cracked asphalt. Ahead, the old structure loomed, half covered in scaffolding and surrounded by metal fencing. A single red light blinked atop its antenna. They crept to the fence. Through a gap, they saw movement. 3 figures. Not infected. Human. Leah pulled out binoculars and zoomed in. Men in mismatched armor patrolled the area with makeshift rifles. One of them wore an old military helmet and carried a tablet. Militia, Jace whispered. Or raiders. Leah focused on a table near the building's entrance. A portable transmitter. She recognized the model. It had a custom frequency booster. That's how the signal was cutting through static. We need to grab a recording, she whispered. Proof. Then get out. They slipped through a weak point in the fence and moved under cover of stacked crates. Leah reached the side of the building and connected a data tap to the transmitter's backup port. Seconds passed. Then, click. Gun cocked. Drop it, said a voice behind her. Leah froze. One of the guards, barely older than Jace, held a hunting rifle aimed squarely at her back. You're not supposed to be here. Jace turned, hands raised. We're not a threat. Just needed to confirm the signal. That's all. More footsteps approached. 2 other men emerged, flanking them. One wore a tattered jacket with a government patch. You at the Corps? He asked. Leah narrowed her eyes. You know about the Corps? Of course. We've been trying to reach you for weeks. And why is that? Because we need your engineers. You have power. Stability. We've got a plan to fix this country. By broadcasting false hope to survivors? Leah snapped. You're luring people to a weak outpost. That's a death trap. The man chuckled darkly. Not false hope, selective hope. We don't need everyone. We need the right people. Builders. Planners. Minds like yours. Leah's blood ran cold. You're filtering survivors. We call it curation, he said. Survival isn't for everyone. If you really want to rebuild, we need order. Control. Not chaos. You can't play God, Jace said. We're not. Just engineers, with higher ambitions. Before they could react, a shriek split the air. Followed by growling. The guard with the rifle turned. Zeds. They followed your trail. The sound grew louder, fast footsteps, snorting breaths. Leah yanked her tap free and grabbed Jace. Run. Back at the Corps, Celia was watching the monitors when the alarm lit up, distress beacon triggered from Leah's suit. She turned to Marcus. They're coming in hot. Marcus cursed. Open the east gate. Get the med bay ready. Minutes later, the 2 burst in, panting and bruised, Leah gripping the stolen data stick like it was a lifeline. She handed it to Marcus. It's bigger than we thought. They're not just survivors, they're building something. Something we're not part of. Marcus stared at the stick, then at the sealed gate. Dead America wasn't just filled with the undead anymore. Now, it was filling with enemies who were very much alive. To be continued in Part 4, Blueprints of Control. The hum of generators echoed softly inside the Corps' command room as Marcus inserted the stolen data stick into the mainframe. Everyone watched in silence as files loaded, thousands of lines of code, encrypted messages, architectural blueprints, and maps highlighted in red. Raj leaned closer. "What is all this?" Leah, still catching her breath, pointed at a series of digital schematics. "That's a city grid. Modified. Reinforced barriers, elevated checkpoints. Look, this isn't just survival. It's control. They're planning something big." Celia scanned the satellite overlays. "That's Tulsa. But it's redesigned. Like they're turning it into a fortress." Marcus frowned. "A centralized stronghold." Leah nodded. "They call it the Ark Protocol. A place where only the qualified are allowed in. Everyone else, left to the dead." Silence filled the room. "They're recruiting engineers," Jace added, "like us. But only those who follow their philosophy. No free thinkers. No resistance." "They're using Station 5 to broadcast," Celia said. "How long until they turn it toward us?" Marcus turned to the group. "Then we act first. We harden our defenses. And we find out who else is out there, before this arc swallows everything." The following morning, the engineers split into task teams. The sense of urgency was heavy in the air. Celia and Raj focused on perimeter upgrades, installing seismic sensors in the ground, rewiring motion-sensitive traps, and reinforcing the outer gates with scrap metal armor. Leah led the communications group, decrypting intercepted signals and looking for signs of allied enclaves. Meanwhile, Marcus and Sasha worked on the command systems, enhancing the Corps' drone network and scavenging data from old satellites still orbiting overhead. By sunset, the team had uncovered more disturbing intel. "They've already secured 3 towns," Leah said, displaying a map with blinking red dots. "Converted into feeder stations. Survivors are screened and either conscripted, or cast out." "They're moving fast," Raj muttered. "Which means we need allies," Marcus said. "Other settlements, if they still exist. Groups like us." Celia sighed. "If they still trust anyone." That night, a soft alarm chimed through the compound. Marcus rushed into the control room. "What is it?" "Ping on the east relay," Celia said. "Encrypted signal. Not arc-based. This is something else." She played the message. A calm female voice spoke. "This is Haven 7. Broadcasting from Ridge County. Repeat, this is Haven 7. We are not aligned with the Arkansas. We seek cooperation. If anyone hears this, respond." The team exchanged glances. Finally, Sasha breathed. "Someone else is resisting." Marcus grabbed the mic and replied, voice steady. "This is the Corps. We received your message. We're willing to coordinate." A pause. Then the voice returned. "We have much to share, but we are being hunted. The Ark sent scouts. We need to move soon." "They know about Haven," Leah said. "And they won't let it stand." Jace stepped forward. "Then we have to get to them first." By dawn, a team was assembled: Leah, Jace, Raj, and 2 scouts. They loaded supplies into a repurposed armored truck, fitted with soundproofing and a dual-battery engine. The mission was clear: reach Haven 7, assess its capabilities, and offer support before the Ark could eliminate them. Sasha pulled Marcus aside. "You sure this is worth the risk?" "If the Ark isolates us, we lose," he said. "But if we unite, if we start building together, we might stand a chance." As the truck rolled out of the gate, Marcus returned to the data files. One entry in particular caught his eye, marked in red, Project Genesis. He opened it. And froze. An hour into the mission, the team passed through the skeletal remains of a shopping center. Leah scanned rooftops, her instincts on edge. "I don't like this," she murmured. "Too quiet." Suddenly, a distant pop echoed. Jace's head shot up. "Gunfire?" "No. That was a flare." Another boom, closer this time. Orange light arced across the sky. The radio crackled to life. A trembling voice, "This is Haven 7. They found us, they." Static swallowed the rest. Raj slammed the dashboard. "We're too late." Leah clenched her jaw. "Not if we stop them." She pointed to the hilltop. "That flare came from there. Push the truck. Now." As they crested the ridge, they saw it, Haven 7 in flames. Smoke poured from its main hall. Survivors ran in all directions. Black-clad soldiers moved with cold precision, herding people like cattle. "Arc strike team," Raj muttered. "Fully armed." Leah spotted a group of children cornered near a collapsed tower. "No time to wait. Hit the horn. Flash the lights." Raj hesitated. "That'll draw them all." "Exactly." He slammed his fist on the panel. The truck roared and the lights flared bright. The Ark soldiers turned, just as Leah and Jace leapt from the truck, covering the kids with suppressive fire. In the chaos, survivors sprinted toward the vehicle. Bullets ripped through the night. Back at the core, Marcus called a full assembly. "We made a choice the day we started building. We could hide. Or we could fight for something better." He held up a screen, Project Genesis now fully decrypted. "It's more than a city. The Ark wants to replace the world. One engineered community at a time. Selective, controlled, monitored." He looked at each member of his team. "If we don't stop this, hope dies. To be continued in Part 5, the war to rebuild." Smoke still lingered in the air as the truck roared back toward the core. Inside, 20 rescued survivors from Haven 7 huddled in silence. Most were exhausted, wounded, or grieving. A few held on to children like lifelines. No one asked questions, because the fire in Leah's eyes said enough. They were at war now. Raj drove like a man possessed. "You saw those soldiers. They weren't just Ark enforcers, they were enhanced. Suits, scanners, tactics. That was a military-grade sweep." Leah, sitting beside him, checked her ammo. "And they weren't afraid of the undead. They moved like they owned the dead zones." In the back, Jace helped tend to a woman with a leg wound. "We need to get ahead of this. They're not just cleaning out rival outposts. They're preparing for something bigger." One of the Haven survivors, a thin older man named Elias, looked up. "They call it the Purge. The Ark's final phase." Back at the core, Marcus watched the return feed in silence. He turned to Sasha. "Send the signal. Activate the fallback defenses and get the emergency crews ready. We're going to need every resource we've got." Sasha's fingers flew across the command console. "Done. The drones are online. But if they hit us with that kind of force, then we don't survive by hiding behind walls," Marcus said. "We survive by outsmarting them." The arrival of the truck was chaotic but organized. Medical teams rushed the injured inside. Celia guided survivors to the underground bunkers. And when Leah stepped out of the vehicle, her voice was firm. "Everyone to the war room. Now." The briefing room buzzed with urgency. On the screen, Marcus outlined the Ark's expansion. Each red mark showed a fallen settlement. Each new flare of activity meant a community was being targeted. The Ark is preparing to launch its purge protocol. Every region not under their control will be erased. Their timeline? 2 weeks. Gasps spread through the room. Jace stood. "Then we hit first. Before they consolidate their power." "No," Marcus said. "We do what engineers do best, we disrupt their systems." He pointed to a blinking node near Tulsa. "Station 5. The broadcast tower. That's their signal source. It controls drones, relays orders, even blocks long-range comms. If we can disable or hijack it, we can break their chain of command and send our own message." Raj smirked. "You want to fight a war with a signal?" Marcus nodded. "I want to start a rebellion." For days, the core transformed into a staging ground. Engineers who once built hydro towers and irrigation pumps now modified weapons and reinforced vehicles. Drones were retrofitted with EMP grenades. Underground bunkers became safe zones and med bays. Even the youngest survivors helped, painting warning signs, packing supplies, and mapping escape routes. Marcus worked tirelessly on the virus that would overwrite the Ark's signal. If we inject this into their tower, he explained to Sasha, we won't just break their network, we'll expose them. Every hidden file, every order, every lie, streamed across all channels. Sasha raised an eyebrow. And if it fails? Marcus gave a tired smile. Then we fight the old-fashioned way. The night before the strike, the group gathered around the central fire pit, an open space where the core's heart beat strongest. Leah stood before them, holding a worn blueprint in one hand and a handgun in the other. We were never soldiers. We're engineers. Builders. Problem solvers. We were meant to create, not destroy. She looked out at the crowd, faces weary, but determined. But sometimes, to rebuild, we have to tear down what's wrong. And if we fail, they'll wipe us out. Not just us. Everyone. She held up the blueprint. So let's break the Arkansas. And give the world a reason to believe again. Cheers erupted, not loud, but solid. Like steel on steel. Hope forged in resolve. The convoy moved at dawn. 3 trucks, 2 scout bikes, 1 retrofitted bus full of gear and equipment. At the front, Leah and Marcus. At the rear, Celia and Raj with the drone controls. They approached Tulsa from the west, bypassing ruined highways and derelict checkpoints. The air grew heavier with each mile. Distant moans of the dead echoed through burned-out streets. Station 5 loomed ahead, a massive steel tower guarded by high fences and Ark sentries in black uniforms. Marcus checked his tablet. Jamming field detected. They've reinforced the perimeter since we last tapped in. Leah grabbed her rifle. Then we improvise. Their assault began with precision. Celia's drones flew ahead, dropping smoke screens and signal scramblers. Jace and Raj hit the east gate with distraction explosives. Marcus and Leah moved in through the utility tunnels, carrying the virus drive. Bullets rattled. A siren screamed. But the team didn't waver. They reached the main server room just as backup arrived, heavily armed Ark soldiers pouring down the hall. Hold them off. Marcus shouted, shoving the drive into the terminal. Progress bar, 22%. 34%. 51%. Leah fired down the corridor, ducking behind an overturned cabinet. Marcus, now would be a great time to hurry. 72%. 89%. Almost. Marcus yelled. Then, with a beep, the screen flashed green. Virus deployed. Signal hijacked. A new message began to broadcast across every Ark-controlled region. This is the core. We are not afraid. We are not alone. And we are taking our future back. To be continued in Part 6, Signal of Resistance. The core's message sparks rebellion across dead America, but now, the Ark knows exactly where they are. The virus had worked. All across the dead zones of America, survivors watched in awe as their screens, once blacked out or flooded with Ark propaganda, now lit up with the core's message. We are not afraid. We are not alone. And we are taking our future back. It wasn't just a broadcast, it was a spark. From the shattered towers of what was once Atlanta to the scattered survivor camps in northern Colorado, people gathered around old screens, makeshift radios, and even cracked tablets. For the first time in years, they heard real voices, human voices, challenging the Ark's grip on what remained of the world. And the Ark responded with rage. Back at the core, the team barely had time to breathe. After returning from Station 5, their celebration was brief. The signal they hijacked didn't just reach the people, it revealed the core's location to the enemy. Raj monitored the drones. They're scrambling units. Heavy ones. Land convoys, air patrols, full deployment. We've got maybe 3 days before they're on top of us. Leah slammed her fist on the map table. We knew this would happen. We just didn't think they'd respond this fast. Marcus stared at the signal node, the green light blinking steadily. We have to relocate. The core isn't just a place, it's the people, the data, the ideas. If we move fast enough, we can save the mission. But Jay shook his head. There's no time. We can't evacuate everyone. Not with this many wounded. And if the Ark's bringing in air support. Celia stepped forward. Then we make them think we're already gone. Operation Ghost Core was born that night. The plan was bold and dangerous. The engineers would build decoys, fake heat signatures, false tunnel systems, dummy transmission towers. The actual leadership and data servers would be moved into a hidden secondary base 2 miles south, beneath an old mining shaft long abandoned and forgotten. You want to hide everything underground? Sasha asked Marcus as she studied the schematics. He nodded. It's the one place their scans won't reach. And we'll wire it with enough EM scatter to make it look like background noise. Meanwhile, Raj and Jace took charge of trap engineering. Booby-trapped corridors, false entry points, and pressure-triggered sound lures designed to make any intruder believe they were storming an active base filled with defenders. They'll waste their time clearing empty halls, Raj said. And when they realize it's all smoke and mirrors, we'll already be gone. The work was intense. For 2 days straight, no one slept more than a few hours. They rewired tunnels, repainted trucks, restructured command consoles. Children helped carry materials, while Haven 7 survivors joined patrols and assisted medics. But as time ticked down, pressure mounted. At midnight on the second day, a perimeter alert went off. Drones had picked up movement, 2 ARC scout teams closing in. 24 hours left, Leah whispered. Then we either vanish, or burn. The decoy plan was nearly complete. But then, Elias, the older Haven 7 survivor, brought unexpected news. There's a group near the Arkansas border. Engineers like you. We traded with them years ago, before the Ark began purging free zones. They've been underground since, hiding their tech, their people. But they have weapons, vehicles. Maybe even air transport. Leah's eyes lit up. They could help us move faster. Get the last of the sick out. But, we'll need someone to reach them. I'll go, said Celia without hesitation. Jace turned sharply. Celia, it's a suicide run. That's 2 days round trip, minimum. You'll be racing the Arkansas. She looked at Leah. Then I'll just have to win. Celia left before sunrise, riding a fast scout bike loaded with signal repeaters and food supplies. As she vanished down the southern trail, everyone at the core knew it might be the last time they'd see her. Back at the base, final preparations continued. Leah oversaw the relocation of all critical data cores and power cells to the underground shaft. Sasha encrypted every blueprint, wiping even the backup logs. Raj placed the last of the explosive decoys at the north gate. By nightfall, the illusion was ready. From above, the core looked alive, lights flickered, engines hummed, and fake patrols moved in synchronized loops, all controlled by preset automation and sound triggers. But below the surface, silence. The real core, its people, its soul, had gone dark. That night, Leah sat with Marcus in the underground base, listening to static across the wideband radio. She'll make it, Leah said. Marcus nodded slowly. If she doesn't, we'll still hold. We didn't send that signal just to run. No, Leah agreed. We sent it so others would rise. If this is where we fall, at least we made them believe again. Just then, a ping came across the line. A soft, rhythmic tone, coded and old-fashioned. It was Celia's signal. She had made contact. They're coming, Marcus whispered. But before hope could fully rise, Raj burst in. They've breached the outer gate. The Ark had arrived. And now, the final test would begin. To be continued in Part 7, the Siege of Shadows. A low rumble echoed through the tunnel walls. Dust sprinkled from the ceiling of the underground base like falling ash. Above them, the Ark's war machines had arrived. Leah stood in the command chamber, her eyes locked on the old monitor. Through scattered feeds still operational from the surface, she watched dark figures advance, armored soldiers with heavy rifles and support drones hovering like vultures. The illusion's holding, Raj reported, voice tight with focus. They're breaching the fake main entrance. Traps are triggering. Heat lures are drawing them to false chambers. How long will it fool them? Marcus asked. Hours, if we're lucky. Minutes if they deploy ground-penetrating radar. Leah nodded. Then we make every minute count. Outside, the core's abandoned shell became a battlefield. Dummy turrets opened fire, firing blanks and pressurized gas to simulate recoil. Explosive traps lit up the hallways. Speakers blared recorded voices, movement sensors triggered door slams, and pressure pads mimicked footsteps, an orchestra of false life. The Ark soldiers advanced with caution, believing they were storming a stronghold filled with resistance. One of them kicked open a steel door, only to trigger a shock charge that blinded 2 of their scouts. Another tried to hack a terminal, only to unleash an EMP burst that fried their visor. They're wasting time, Jace said, watching through their last working drone feed. But not enough of it. Sasha tapped furiously at her keyboard. I'm scrambling their scans with noise bursts and dummy transmissions. It's working for now, but their AI will adapt. We're burning time fast. Deep below, the engineers braced for the inevitable. Those who couldn't fight reinforced walls, secured airlocks, or prepped escape routes. Others clutched makeshift weapons, rebar spears, jury-rigged energy arcs, even old mining tools sharpened for defense. Among them stood the children and the sick, silent, watching the adults move like shadows. Leah walked among them, offering nods, words of encouragement. She stopped beside a boy holding a small tablet, the same one used to watch the broadcast days earlier. Still got it? She asked. He nodded. I'm tracking the signal. People are answering. She blinked. What do you mean? He showed her the screen. One by one, across the dead zones, pings were lighting up, coded responses from survivors, engineers, outposts. Some were far-flung, barely able to reach a signal, but they were responding. They're not just watching. They're getting ready. But there was no time to celebrate. Above, the deception unraveled. Ark scouts discovered the false server room. The machines were hollow, shells built to fool the eye. Their leader, a masked commander, barked orders. Moments later, drones began scanning the ground. They know, Raj said. They're digging. A boom rocked the base. The first explosive breach hit an access tunnel. They're coming, Jace growled, grabbing his rifle. The engineers took their positions. Sasha sealed secondary blast doors. Raj activated the failsafe. If breached, the outer chambers would collapse, burying their tech. In the silence before the attack, Leah addressed them. You all know why we built the core. It wasn't just to survive, it was to rebuild. If they break through, we don't give up. We protect the mission. Even if that means fighting with bare hands. A quiet nod passed through the room. Then, the wall blew inward. The first wave of Ark enforcers flooded into the shaft, their glowing visors cutting through the dark. But what they expected was another easy purge. Instead, they met engineers who had been preparing for years. Raj triggered traps as he retreated, floor panels dropped, smoke bombs exploded, and tripwires launched flashbangs. Jace led a counter-team through the right flank, forcing the Ark soldiers into tight corridors where numbers meant nothing. Marcus manned the relay, rerouting power to the magnetic door systems. He slammed gates shut just behind Ark squads, cutting them off and isolating them. We control the walls, he growled. They're strong, but we built stronger. Outside the blast radius, far across the valley, Celia returned with help. Dozens of engineers, survivors from the Arkansas Resistance, rode into view with armored transport rigs and mounted pulse cannons. They'd seen the signal. They'd answered. "Light 'em up," Celia ordered. From the hills, the cannons opened fire. The Ark's outer support crumbled. Inside, Leah heard the rumble and turned toward the north shaft. Her comms sparked. "Reinforcements?" she asked. "Yup," Celia replied. "Hope you didn't start the party without me." Leah grinned. "We were just getting warmed up." With pressure from both fronts, the Ark soldiers began to retreat. Their drones, damaged by feedback loops, crashed to the ground. Their commander realized too late that this wasn't a group of desperate survivors. It was the beginning of a rebellion. And they had just awakened it. As the last Ark squad fled into the night, the engineers sealed the breach. Exhausted, bloodied, but unbroken. The core still stood. Later that night, Marcus sat with Leah overlooking the valley. Fires still smoldered, but the stars were visible. "We should be dead," he said. "We should be," Leah replied. "But we're built for more than survival." Far across the radio, Morse signals pinged. The war wasn't over. But now, they weren't fighting alone. To be continued in Part 8, the blueprint of a new tomorrow. With the Ark pushed back and allies rising across the land, the engineers begin the most important task of all, rebuilding a future worth fighting for. Dawn crept over the wasteland like a hesitant promise. Smoke still curled from the battle scars around the core's hidden entrance, but inside, a quiet determination had replaced panic. The siege was over, for now. Leah stood on the platform above the central chamber, watching as everyone moved with fresh urgency. Engineers patched the walls. Sasha restored lost data from the black box servers. Marcus and Raj drafted the next phase, expansion and replication. And the message that started it all? It was still broadcasting. "We survived," Jace said, approaching with a limp but a grin. "More than they expected. A lot more." Leah turned toward him. "And now we build." Over the next week, the core became more than just a fortress. It became a beacon. The survivors who had responded to the original broadcast began arriving, on foot, in makeshift transports, even through underground routes long forgotten. Some were mechanics. Others were scientists, coders, or farmers who'd adapted machines to grow food in poison soil. All of them had held on to hope in their own way. Celia helped organize the incoming groups, establishing safe zones outside the core. Old rail tunnels were cleared and converted into housing. Turbines scavenged from a nearby wind farm came online, providing consistent energy for the first time in years. A water purification system was reassembled using spare reactor coolant pipes. It wasn't pretty, but it worked. The engineers called it the second foundation. But not everyone was celebrating. "The Ark's not gone," Raj warned during a strategy meeting. "We hit a scouting unit, maybe 2 squads. That commander? He'll report back. They'll regroup. Next time they won't underestimate us." Leah nodded. "Then we don't just wait. We prepare. And we spread." Sasha stepped forward with a fresh schematic. "This is Project Echo. It's what we started before the fall. A self-sustaining hub system, smaller versions of the core, meant to link across the country. If we rebuild even 3 of these, we could outlast them," Marcus finished. "Maybe even outmaneuver them." The first hub was set to launch from an abandoned city center 50 miles east. A transit crew was assembled, engineers, scouts, and a few armed escorts led by Jace. It would be the first real test. The journey was slow, plagued by collapsed bridges and roaming undead. But strangely, the zombies were thinning out. "They're moving," Celia said during a campfire rest. "Something's pushing them west. Something big." Jace frowned. "The Ark? Maybe. Or maybe they're just following the noise. The core isn't exactly quiet anymore." That realization hit hard. Every light, every signal, every broadcast, while drawing allies, might also be a beacon for the dead. But Leah made the decision: we don't stop. We adapt. We defend. But we don't hide anymore. Weeks passed. The first satellite hub came online, powered by scavenged solar arrays and staffed with a dozen new engineers. It wasn't much, but it proved the system worked. More signals came in, this time from across the mountains, and even from what used to be Canada. Survivors were watching, listening, hoping. Project Echo expanded. But so did the Ark. From intercepted transmissions, Sasha learned that the Ark had labeled the core as a Class Red rogue entity. They would send more. Stronger. Smarter. Leah called it a sign of progress. If they fear us, she told the assembly, then we're doing something right. One night, the boy with the tablet approached her again. "There's a new ping," he whispered. She took the screen from him. The message wasn't from an engineer, a survivor, or even a known region. It was coordinates, and a code, Aegis 1. Marcus's eyes widened when he saw it. That's pre-fall. Military black site designation. Level 7 clearance. Raj pulled up a forgotten schematic. It's a secure vault. One we helped design, but never accessed. If it's intact, it could have the master plans, Sasha finished. For everything. Energy, defense, maybe even a cure. Leah stared at the screen. The possibilities stretched wider than the ruins around them. Then we find it, she said. We build toward it. And when we reach it, we won't be alone. As night fell over dead America once more, a new message began broadcasting from the core, stronger this time, clearer. To any and all survivors. You are not alone. There is shelter. There is knowledge. There is hope. Join us. Help us rebuild. This is not the end. This is how we begin again. And far beyond the ruined cities, forests, and wastelands, signals began to answer. One by one. The blueprint of a new tomorrow had been drawn. And the engineers? They were just getting started. The end. But in the world of dead America, every end is just the beginning of something new.